Have you ever seen a lantern floating in the forest at midnight? Last night, I followed one, and what I found will stay with me forever. I remember that night as if the forest wanted me to keep it forever. The forest was quiet when I arrived, the air thick with the scent of wet leaves and soil. I came alone, carrying only a small backpack, a camera, and my old lantern. I planned to record the sounds of the forest at midnight for my channel, capturing the symphony of insects and the soft whisper of the river nearby. The first few hours were peaceful. I sat by a small fire, listening to the crackle of the wood, the occasional hoot of an owl, and the river's soft murmur. I felt at peace, away from the noise of the city, under the dark sky scattered with cold stars. As midnight approached, the forest began to change. The air grew colder, and the wind that moved through the trees felt like gentle hands brushing against my face. I turned off my lantern to let my eyes adjust to the darkness, allowing the moonlight to guide me. That was when I saw it. A lantern, glowing softly, deeper in the forest. It swung gently, as if someone was carrying it, moving through the trees without sound. At first, I thought it was another camper or a late hiker, but as I watched, I realized it moved too smoothly, gliding between the trees without disturbing the branches or the leaves. The light was warm, almost comforting, and I felt an urge to follow it. I grabbed my lantern and walked toward the light, my footsteps careful on the forest floor covered with damp leaves and roots. The glowing lantern led me deeper, the trees growing denser, the air colder with each step. The only sounds were my breathing and the distant rush of the river. The lantern stopped near an old tree, its trunk thick and twisted, covered in moss. The light hovered there, and I stopped, standing a few feet away, watching. I called out softly, "Hello, is anyone there?" The lantern didn't move. It simply floated, glowing softly, as if waiting. I took another step closer, and the air felt heavier, pressing against my chest. The light flickered, and I saw something beneath it, a small figure, almost like a child, standing in the shadows, holding the lantern. I froze. The figure slowly raised its head, and in the dim light, I could see its face. It was pale, with dark eyes that seemed endless, watching me with a calm, almost sad expression. It didn't speak, but I felt as if it was asking me something, reaching out without words. I opened my mouth to say something, but no sound came out. My lantern flickered, and for a moment, the figure and its lantern disappeared, leaving me alone in the dark. I stood there listening to the silence, my heart beating loudly in my ears. Then, the lantern appeared again, a few steps further into the forest, waiting for me. I followed. The forest grew darker, the moonlight struggling to reach through the thick branches. The lantern led me to a small clearing where the ground was covered in soft moss, and in the center, there was an old stone marker, half buried, covered in vines. The lantern stopped above the marker, and the figure appeared again, standing by it, looking at me. Slowly, it knelt by the stone, placing the lantern beside it, and rested its small hand on the cold surface. I realized then that the marker was a grave. A soft wind moved through the clearing, and I heard a whisper, so faint I wasn't sure if it was real. The figure turned its head toward me one last time, its dark eyes calm, and then, slowly, both the lantern and the figure began to fade, the light dimming until the clearing was dark again, only the sound of the wind and the distant river filling the silence. I stood there for a long time, feeling the weight of the forest around me, the air lighter now, as if something had found peace. When I returned to my camp, the forest was alive again with the sounds of the night. The wind in the trees no longer felt cold, and the shadows no longer seemed heavy. The next morning, as I packed my things, I looked back toward the forest, whispering a quiet goodbye. And for a moment, I thought I saw a soft light moving between the trees, like a lantern, guiding someone home. If you enjoy midnight stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and join me on the next journey into the world's quiet, hidden places. You never know what you might see or what might find you when the forest whispers at midnight. Thank you for watching,